Hello, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube. I am the Malt activist, and I have yet another controversial whiskey for you that I want to share with you. This is the Blue Label, which has Port Ellen in it. I've already taken it out. Alright, let's dig in. So, you're probably wondering, where's the bottle? How do we know the spirit is real? Well, you'll be right, of course. But since I am not a charlatan and I don't want to mislead you, this is what happened. So, I belong to a club, which is it's a very cool club, and it has very few members. And what we do is we pitch in on a regular basis a very decent amount of money that we put together, and then we go and buy some expensive whiskeys, some rare, some old, some interesting, some new. It all depends, how curious we are. So at our last tasting, we had on the menu 4 whiskeys. We had a 32-year-old Kalila, we had a single cask Dalmore matured in first fill bourbon, we had a 2005 Bunnahabhain, which was a burgundy finish, and then we had this, the Blue Label, the Ghost and Rare Collection, the one with Port Ellen in it. That's right. Can you imagine a Blue Label with Port Ellen? Oh my God, this is what dreams are made of. This is what fairy dust creates. Unicorns and Blue Label whiskeys with Port Ellen in them. So, one of our members, very curious, rightly so, said, "Hey guys, let's get this whiskey for our next tasting. I've never had a Port Ellen in my life, and I'd really like to try it, even if it's part of a blend." And we said, "Hey, well, that sounds interesting," even though alarm bells were sort of ringing in the back of my head. But I was like, you know what? Let's try it. I think it's worth at least pitching in and buying one bottle between 8 or 10 of us, and having a go at it and seeing whether it's worth it or not. So this is what the Blue Label Ghost and Rare Collection is. The one with Port Ellen includes. So I'm just going to read this out. So you have Port Ellen. Obviously, it's splattered all across the packaging, including the bottle and the cardboard box. And then you have 2 closed grain distilleries, Carsbridge and Caledonian. And then it says you have rare malts from it's always dodgy when they start using words like rare. Rare malts from Mortlach, Dallowayne, Cragganmore. Yeah, rare whiskeys from Cragganmore, Berthol and Oban. So this is a blend of, I think, 7 whiskeys, 2 of them which are grain, and the rest are single malt, and hence obviously it becomes a blended whiskey. So I don't have the bottle on me. Somebody took the bottle with them. I think there was very little left, and I managed to just bring back a little sample. So it's not a lot, mind you, but this is just for presentation purposes. I've drunk it a fair amount. In fact, I have the tasting notes right here. See, it says Blue Label Ghost and Rare, and free Radisson Blue advertising. Okay, so anyway, so we get there and we said, okay, let's start with the Blue Label first because it has Port Ellen in it, and we shouldn't be screwing up our palate because we're about to taste Port Ellen. So we pour it out, and with much anticipation brought the glasses to our nose, and each one in their own way very loudly exclaimed, "I can't smell any Islay influence in this spirit. Okay, I smell a decent whiskey of caramel and butterscotch, and I'm gonna have to read this, walnuts and red berries, even though it's slightly astringent with hints of toffee. But you know what I don't get? I don't get even the slightest hint of peat. I don't get the slightest hint of citrus or anything charred, anything fishnets, which is almost a signature Port Ellen style, especially even if it's bourbon or sherry, And look, I am by no means an authority on Port Ellen whiskeys. Absolutely not. However, I've had my very, very fortunate share of Port Ellen whiskeys, both OBs and IBs. More than I can count on two hands. So, while I may not be an expert, and I don't claim to be, I do have a very strong reference point. So I'm not saying that if I drink a Port Ellen, I'll immediately recognize it, but there are certain flavor profiles that I know are associated with that whiskey. And it's citrus, it's black pepper, it's lemon lime, it's peat, it's smoke, it's a charriness that's found all over. It's almost signature, fishnets, very maritime, which makes up a majority of the Port Ellens that I've had the fortune of drinking. Unfortunately, this particular blend, which has Port Ellen in it, and again, please, I am not saying that Diageo has not put any Port Ellen in this. Absolutely not. I know there's Port Ellen in it because they say they put Port Ellen in it, and I believe them. However, the quantity of Port Ellen in this blend is so shockingly low, it's mind-boggling. And when you compare it to the amount of times it says Port Ellen and the size of Port Ellen on the packaging, you would think it's like 80% Port Ellen and then everything else. But it's not. It's not even 20% Port Ellen. I think we'd be lucky if we can get more than 5% Port Ellen in this blend. Now, of course, there's nobody to validate that. This is just me purely making an assumption. However, I think it's a strong enough assumption to make, given that I have a good reference point, given that I have a very decent exposure and experience with Port Ellen whiskeys, and I'd be able to eke out some semblance of Islay influence. Okay, you know what? Forget Port Ellen. I have drunk a lot of Islay whiskeys. I have drunk more Islay whiskeys than I have regular. When I say regular whiskeys, I mean non-Islay whiskeys. So I'm very, very, very familiar with the iodine and the peat and the fishnet and the charring and the smokiness and whatever that you find in Islay whiskeys. There is none of that in here. And that's really sad. Which means that the best, this is what we were joking about at the night of the tasting. We were like, the only reason they put Port Ellen on it is because somebody was walking by with this blend and they accidentally bumped into a empty cask of Port Ellen and said, whoa, this blend now must proclaim Port Ellen in it, because some guy bumped into an empty cask of Port Ellen. Of course, we were all just joking. However, it wasn't in very good humor because this whiskey is 300 pounds and it's being sold on the basis that it has Port Ellen in it. It's called Ghost and Rare for a reason. Yes, I agree. It has two other closed distilleries in Carsbridge and Caledonian. Man, but those are grain whiskeys. Nobody goes out saying, man, I wish I could get my hands on a Caledonian or a Carsbridge to complete my collection. No one cares. So here we are at another whiskey that I urge you not to buy, based purely on the fact that it says Port Ellen. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to buy this whiskey and for 300 pounds be able to put some Port Ellen in my system, don't. Because while you may be technically putting Port Ellen in your system, it's not really Port Ellen. Just go and buy yourself. For 300 pounds, you can actually find yourself an independent bottle of a Port Ellen. Like a full Port Ellen, proper Port Ellen. Maybe 350 if you look hard enough. But definitely don't get this, for sure. So like I said, the nose is not bad, slightly astringent for me, but hey, what the hell. On the palate, Again, on the palate, low impact, a little oily. Again, the astringency is back. Butterscotch caramel are your major flavors. But other than that, very underwhelming. I don't know what we were expecting. I think we were just curious. And I guess curiosity killed the cat, because we were out 300 pounds on this bottle. Mind you, some of the members did like it. They said, hey, okay, let's not focus on the Port Ellen aspect of it. Let's just drink it for what it is, and it's a good whiskey. And I appreciate that, and I respect those opinions, and I'm absolutely fine with this. But not for me, 300 pounds is a lot of money to spend on something that you're hoping to experience, and it 100% does not deliver on that experience. And I'm talking about Port Ellen. And even in terms of whiskey on its own, it's bottled at 43%. I think that's really low. It should have been at least 46, 48% to just amp up the overall delivery. But sadly, that is not the case. I think this is yet another example of fairly slick marketing, good packaging, and using a name like Port Ellen to fish hook people into getting this. And for people who've never drunk a Port Ellen, they'll be like, wow, I guess I drank some part of Port Ellen, and they'll be happy with that, which is sad, because believe me, they've not. They've drank the most minutest amount of Port Ellen that they could think, but they don't know that. So that's sad, and I feel for those people. And unfortunately, that's the case. We are faced with yet another whiskey, 43.8% actually, not 43%. Yeah, so we're faced with another whiskey that is preposterously expensive and certainly not worth the money that you should be paying for it. And it irks me even more because they use a good name of Port Ellen to sell this swill. Sell this swill to unsuspecting victims. So my advice, don't drink it. However, if you want to impress someone who's not that much of a whiskey drinker, barely knows about Port Ellen, would be easily impressed, and you think you can get a return on investment on this gift by them giving you more business or something, or favors, I don't know, then that's 300 pounds well spent. But don't buy it for yourself and drink it. Like, wow. Yeah, you will be extremely disappointed. So there you go. One more whiskey that's pissed me off, and I'm happy to share with you and hopefully save you some money. Maybe I should just call my channel Malt Activist Saves You Money. I spend all of my money trying to save you guys money. So thank you. Thank you for joining me for this whiskey review. I'm the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.